Audio Jungle.
Greetings, folks, and welcome back to another quick wet shaving tip with your pal and friend, Douglas Smythe from HowToGrowMustache.com and the Mustache and Blade Podcast, which you can find on iTunes. Well, today we are going to be talking about blooming your soap. That's blooming your soap. This is an interesting phenomenon that, again, not many people are talking about, or they weren't so up until recently talking about blooming your soap. What is blooming? Blooming is bringing out the natural aromatics of your essential oil that is in the soap, or fragrance oil sometimes. This is more so about essential oil blooming, but it does work with fragrance oils as well. There's a crime being committed, and it's mostly detrimental to no one but yourself. What a lot of gents will do is they'll get a soap in the mail, and right out of the package, they get a good smell. Or in the store, if you're lucky enough to have a shaving store near you, you'll smell it. And a lot of people think, oh, it's great, it's great to have a shaving store. You can go in there and you can actually smell the products. That's so important. You can touch, feel, and smell them. That's partially true. It is nice to be able to smell it dry, but it's still not the true scent of the soap. The true scent of the soap only comes out when those essential oils are heated. So, unless that shaving store, and in fact, if you're thinking of starting a wet shaving store, put a sink there too, and allow people to lather it up at a certain temperature to raise up the true scent of the soap. So, again, you get it out of the box, you smell it, you don't like it, you flip it on the forum, 10 minutes later, you haven't even given it a shot. You don't even know the soap. So, you were quick to judge. Who knew? What you should be doing is blooming the scent first before you make up your mind whether you like it or not. This changes everything. It's amazing, in fact. I'm thinking about all the different reviews I've ever read. Now I'm going to go on a little rant for a second. When reviewing a soap, this is the problem I have with reviews. I love reviews, don't get me wrong. I love reviews when they're done by experienced people. And a good analogy is if I wanted to buy a motorcycle. I want to read reviews about a certain motorcycle I'm interested in. Which review am I going to get more from? The review written by the newbie who just bought the bike. He's only had it for a week or a day, and he's writing this great review. Or a bad review. If it's a bad review, it's more than likely user error, especially if it's the first bike he's ever owned. Then you get the article or the review written by the newbie who's had the bike for a year. That offers more value. Then you get the review written by the expert who's owned many bikes, can really pull back over the years all the bikes that he's had and whatnot and compare, and you really get a lot out of an experienced reviewer's review. That's not to say that newbie reviews are bad. I love newbie reviews too because, well, as they say, you learn the most when you teach. Why do you learn the most when you teach? Because you have kids asking questions that you never even thought of. You have to suddenly jump to the answer, figure out the answer, research the answer. Maybe you know the answer and just reaffirms it for you. It's the same way. I'll read a newbie review and I'll start thinking differently about my product or any product out there. Be like, oh, I never thought of that before. So they're great. They have a value there. And that said, this is to newbies. If you write a review on shaving soap, cologne, whatever, another fine example is cologne or aftershave, smelling it in the bottle is not going to give you the real smell of the cologne. So same thing with the soap. If you're going to write a review, hang with it for at least a week. Learn the soap well, and then I want to read your review. But at least give it a chance. Your first time using it, that review is not going to help me or anyone else that much. You really got to know the soap first before you dare to review it. Same thing with the cologne or aftershave. Smelling it out of the bottle is not going to help you. It's not going to help anyone else. You got to wear it. Not only do you wear it on your face, also wear it on your wrists. That way during the course of the day, you can see if it's still there and what it's doing with your body chemistry. Also top notes, mid notes, and base notes as they're dropping off. What does it smell like? So that's the way to really get a sense, pun intended, of what's going on with that cologne or that aftershave. That said, there's another thing going on too where people will buy, they have a problem with certain scents, certain essential oils. And I'm not talking about allergic reactions, just they find certain scents offensive. Cilantro, I can't stand the stuff. Turns out that's genetic. It's really weird. I just found this out. But and there's some people out there that just can't do cilantro. It tastes like ozone. It just doesn't taste good. Yet every girl I've ever dated loves the stuff. So we don't do Mexican. Regardless, it's the same thing with certain essential oils. But the thing is, if you see, like, you don't like patchouli. I don't really care for patchouli. Ryan loves patchouli. I don't like patchouli. I find it offensive. It smells like dirt to me. But that's just the way my sniffer works. Everyone's sniffer is different. So if you see a certain ingredient in a soap, though, you got to give it the benefit of the doubt, especially if it's a collection of different essential oils in there. In perfuming, it's a lot. When you perfume, you use a lot of different essential oils, and it's like casting a play or a movie. You have supporting actors. You may not like patchouli. You may see it in the ingredient list and go, "Oh, I can't." But it's not there. It's not present. It's supporting. In combination, it could be lifting up other stars in the essential oil world. Another analogy would be like Indian food. Okay, cinnamon. If you're a cook, cinnamon. You know, like cook? You mean baker? No, I mean cook. When I say cinnamon, if you're, of the Western world, you think desserts, pastries, danishes, whatever. It's a dessert seasoning for us, or is it? It's actually, if you're a culinary artist, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It also plays a supportive role in cooking. Cinnamon is in a lot of stuff, whether you know it or not. It doesn't taste of cinnamon. It's in Indian cuisine. It's there a lot too. It doesn't taste of cinnamon. It's just a pinch of it, and it lifts up the turmeric. It gives it full body. It's a supporting player in the whole concoction. Same thing with certain essential oils. So again, if you see patchouli and you don't like patchouli on the list, give it the benefit of the doubt first. Even if you smell it and the patchouli's there, it's present, it's just a more heady smell. It's a more base smell. It's going to show up when it's cold. But once you bloom the soap with hot water, I haven't even gotten to blooming yet, have I? But once you bloom the soap, the true scent that the creator was going for will blossom out. How do we do that? What I recommend you do, especially with my soap, but with any soap really, depending on how soft it is. Hard soaps work especially well for this, but soft soaps do too. So I do rather, is before you hop in the shower, you don't need to boil the water, by the way. I just am using this for convenience. But you would add it to a few tablespoons to the surface of the puck. This works especially well with my soap because it's got a rim around it so the water stays there. Now, it's not going to stay hot the entire time, but it is going to stay hotter than room temperature while you're taking a shower. Now, what this is doing is not only blooming the true essential oils in the same way that you would heat potpourri. Potpourri, you put it in a boiler, you put it in hot water, you put it on a heater, and it raises up the scent of the volatile oils of the herbs and spices that are in there. It's the same thing with essential oils. So not only is this softening the soap and mellowing out the base oils and butters, it's lifting up the essential oils and aromatics that we intended this to smell like. So, that said, that is how you bloom a soap. Don't be so quick to judge it. Don't wet the brush and go right at the puck. Bloom it first. If you don't like a soap especially and you haven't bloomed it, try it. You will notice a drastic change in all soaps. So, that said, before you review your next review, please give it more than one try. That's something I'd really like to see. And another little backstory while I got your attention. How I came to this conclusion, more so in temperature too. Like my soaps perform really well in certain temperatures. I have those listed on the back of the soaps. And how I came to that conclusion was, for being a reviewer myself, I had a blog first. I would do research as I'm writing a review on a certain soap, seeing what other people are saying too. And what I saw more often than not is just conflicting reviews. Even guys in forums that are using the same razor, the same brush, and the same soap are getting different results. One guy loved it, one guy hated it. What's going on here? I couldn't figure out what was going on at first. Then I started looking at it more. Okay, there's, some things to consider. Water quality. But you look, and some of these guys, especially if you know them, they're in the same area. They're in the same town sometimes. They're still having different results. But then you look at the date, and it's 2 different times a year. One is the winter months, one's in the summer months. that tells me it's also temperature, or that's what told me it was also temperature, pointed in that direction. So I started, every soap I bought and reviewed, I would take my infrared thermometer and check the temperature every time, and then lather it. And if I got a bloom of lather, if I got a burst of lather, I would write that temperature down that it worked best at on the packaging, on the lid, on a piece of masking tape, or in a notebook, because I'm crazy like that. But it was awesome. And I started including that in reviews, too, where it worked the best. I would use it over the course of the week at different temperatures, and you can find the sweet spot, temperature-wise, more often than not. Again, water quality does play into this. The best way to neutralize that is to just use distilled water. So, that's how you bloom the soap, with a little bit of a rant. But bloom away, people. I hope that answered your question, and I hope that works well for you, because I know it will. Until next time, this is Douglas Smythe from HowToGrowMustache.com and the Mustache and Blade Podcast, signing off. I'll catch you later.